Hiya! And welcome to another Reading Wednesday. You already know what it is. You already know. And today, I don't know if that was too much, but I'm excited for today. Today I am going to be reviewing two books, a duology, a series, whatever. The Earthseed series by Octavia E. Butler. I don't know which one looks better. This is the first one, Parable of the Sower, and then the sequel, Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler. First Octavia E. Butler book I've ever read. First of all, too, let me just say, I never heard anything about this chick in school or anything. Same thing really goes for Toni Morrison, though. I didn't hear anything about her. Or Alice Walker. You don't hear about any of them. But I never heard about Octavia E. Butler in school, and it makes me so mad that I never heard about her as a renowned author or something, because she really was. And especially from reading this book, and it was written way before its time, and it's written what, I don't even know, let me see, 1993, and she's putting it takes place in 2024, which of course back then was a long time in the future, right? But now it's scarily close, just weirdly close, and it's amazing how well it holds up over time, and it's still very plausible. Not really, because how Dire the Strait is, but it's still a very plausible examination and imagination of the future. You got climate change and everything. But anyway, I want to get into this, what I thought of the series as a whole. I could have made two separate videos for Parable of the, Sower and Parable of the Talents, but I don't want to do that. I just wanted to do Earthseed series as a whole, and that's what it is. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do, and we're just going to get right into it. I'm kind of just going to go off as a whole, because my pros and cons are kind of for the series as a whole. So I'll read the synopsis of the first book, and then I'll just kind of summarize the second. So when global climate change and economic crises led to social chaos in the early 2020s, California becomes full of dangers, from pervasive water shortage to masses of vagabonds who will do anything to live to see another day. 15-year-old Lauren Olamina lives inside a gated community with her preacher father, family, and neighbors, sheltered from the surrounding anarchy. In a society where any vulnerability is a risk, she suffers from hyper-empathy, a debilitating sensitivity to others' emotions. Precocious and clear-eyed, Lauren must make her voice heard in order to protect her loved ones from the imminent disasters her small community stubbornly ignores. But what begins as a fight for survival soon leads to something much more, the birth of a new faith and a startling vision of human destiny. And I blew through this book. I haven't read a book. It's just one of those things. Whenever I find a good book, it reminds me of summer. I don't know why. I guess because I read a lot of good books in the summer as a child, but that's what it reminded me of. And I was just blowing through it. I really couldn't put it down, and I just wanted to finish it as soon as possible. I just gobbled it up, honestly, and it's so good. So I'm just going to summarize the second book too. So the first book, we meet Lauren Olamina, right, and she's 15 years old, and it's 2024, and they live in this gated community. They only venture out every month or so for target practice with guns, because the children learn to protect themselves since the world is so dangerous. And she has a father who's black, and then I think her stepmom is Latinx, and they have 3 kids together. And Lauren's the only child from a previous relationship. Her mom was on a drug that causes her to have her hyper-empathy, and that means when she sees someone get punched in the face, she can feel it as if she was punched in the face and stuff like that. So if she sees someone get shot, she feels the pain and stuff, and it's very hard to deal with, but she hides it really well. And then and this leads her, like, as she's growing up in this gated community, she knows that it's not going to last forever. Everyone else is like trying to make it last forever, and she's like, that's just not possible. What would be smart is if we prepare for the outside world, that is, you know, as it said, anarchy. It's a really dark novel, honestly. It's very dark. It's a grim future that Butler imagines for us all. And she brings it to life beautifully, but I'll get into that later. Lauren, she begins to come up with this new faith called Earthseed, what the namesake of the series, Earthseed, and like everyone who's on Earth, like we are the seeds of Earth, and the ultimate destiny of Earthseed is to go to the stars and to start life on another planet, since this one is basically crumbling to dust. Like socially, rather, you know, like in climate change, like they don't have a lot of rain and stuff, so yeah, a lot of stuff is going down on this planet. So she's like, we need to go to like Mars and figure out how to live there. Let's do that. And then in the second book, and the whole story is told through Lauren's, or Olamina's, I'm going to try to call her Olamina throughout the video, through her journal entries. And then in the second book, spoiler alert, she has a child, and we get the child's commentary along with Olamina's continued journal entries, and then her future suitor's commentary as well. His name is Van Coley, and I'll talk more about that. But that's basically what the book is about. It's just her continued struggle through this apocalyptic future that Butler imagines. Okay, so moving on to my pros of the series overall, and like why it was just the bomb diggity. It was like, ugh, it was so freaking good. But anyway, my first pro is having it introduce me to my favorite character of all time, pretty much. Like, I've never had the respect I have for Lauren Olamina. Okay, like I have never felt that for another character. But she wrote her. Octavia E. Butler wrote her so well as a 15-year-old girl. Like, she's the most intelligent 15-year-old girl you'd ever run across, okay? And I didn't think it was too, like, unbelievable. It's like, oh, she just ain't no 15-year-old this smart. Like, she don't know that much. No, because Octavia made her believable. She really did. Like, Olamina, she had some struggles. She had issues where she would, like, say a little too much about what she was thinking, and then she'd get, like, that person told on her, and was like, yeah, she thinks we all gonna die. She thinks this gated community is over, and she got in trouble, and she really hated that. But then that was showing, you know, that she learned how to mince her words more and be like less forthcoming with information that can be scary to others. It's not so scary to her because it's just truth, but for other people, they're like not ready to handle all that. And she learned how to mince her words and to read people better. She needed help with that, and I really like that Butler showed us her journey in getting better with kind of persuasion, not manipulation, I would say, but like persuasion. She got really better at that art, and it also came from her father teaching her the art of persuasion too. So yeah, and I also love that whenever she got angry, she would calm herself down before speaking, and I was like, that is so becoming. That is such a respectable trait to have, a respectable skill. It's like if you're angry and you know that you're not going to say anything good, you're not going to say anything smart when you're mad. She was like, oh my gosh, let me calm down. Let me take a few deep breaths. And then I spoke to him and I was like, yes, girl. Yes, not you owning your emotions. Oh my gosh. Not you owning your emotions and your emotions not owning you. That was just amazing. You don't find enough characters who are like that these days, I feel. Like, I'm like, what character is known for like their self-control? I love it. I love a character who has self-control. That's lovely. I feel like a lot of things that are like not paraded, but celebrated in our society. Like one trait I really hate, I despise it, is arrogance. And I think that's always used in our society, especially with just like male characters. And I'm like, let's stop it though. Like, and for example, like Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, Katsuki Bakugo, like all of these people, and it's like their arrogance is what a lot of people love about them. And I'm just like, no, but why? But why though? Can you tell me? Because it's not a trait that you'd actually like in real life. And if you do, I mean, just no, stop. So anyway, she was just really great. I loved Lauren from the very beginning, and she never did anything that would make me be like, oh, Olamina wouldn't do that. She was never out of character. Like, once you met her, she stayed in character. She made decisions that were smart, and she always weighed her options very carefully. So she was just the perfect heroine for this story, and so easy to root for. So easy to root for. Even if you didn't 100% believe or agree with her, you still wanted everything to turn out all right for her in this terrible world that Butler puts her in. Okay, and that's my second pro for this book, and like just some of the best world building I've ever read. I was like, it was so immersive and immediate. You get in this gated community. She's like, there's like a lot of people who live in the same house. There's like 12 different people living in this 4-bedroom house, you know, because there's nowhere for them to go. We are in the apocalypse. So we are just a clan of people, and we're all just living under the same roof, and it's awful, but it's a lot better than going out there and fending for yourself that way, you know. So yeah, and let's say, so there's this climate change is a thing, so there's droughts, and also there's arsonists who take this drug called pyro that makes them like addicted to watching fire burn. It makes fire, the like act of watching fire, there's like the most euphoric feeling. So they set a lot of fires, of course. And then so you have that, there's slavery, there's sex slavery, there's cannibalism, there's rape, there's murder. You got everything. Just the world is crap, okay? It is cow manure. There's nothing left. And I like one of my other pros, the next pro that goes along with this world building, is that despite it being how grim, it is really grim, it is dire, but it's not, there's no exploitation in this series. Octavia E. Butler is not the type of author who's going to tell you something gruesome and graphic in order to shock you or get a reaction out of you. That's not why she's telling you that. She's telling you that, okay, yeah, she stumbled upon children eating a human leg. She's telling you that just because it happened. She's stating it as a fact, just so you know how dire the straits are of this reality that she's painting for us. Okay? And so it's extremely effective. Now, I'm not sure what type of reader I am, like how strong my stomach is. Because I don't go out of my way to read really upsetting books, but I didn't have a problem getting through this, even though it has all those things I mentioned previously. But nothing was to the point where it was supposed to revolt you. It was just supposed to be, this is a fact of life that Olamina is witnessing, and therefore she is reporting it back to you. Okay, so I like that. I have immense respect for Butler after reading the series, and especially from that aspect of her being like, I'm not trying to scare you, I'm not trying to shock you, I'm not trying to make you toss your cookies, I'm just trying to imagine a future. Okay, so yeah, and along with Olamina was my favorite character. I think my favorite character of all time. Like legit, I'm just like, the love I've had for her is like she's a real person. It's like she is my sister or something. My auntie. I'd make her my auntie. I like her though. Auntie Olamina. I roll with her. So, but anyway, she was not, even though she's my favorite character, the characterization as a whole in this series is like beautiful. Every character, I feel like none of them were one-dimensional, none of them were flat. Every character you come across is just like they have their own thing, and they're all very real. They're all very real people too. She has people who are mute. She has people who, escaped slavery, sex slavery. When she goes. So what ends up happening in the first book is she leaves the community after it's burned down and broken into, and she starts kind of collecting people because she's nice and they stick up for each other. So it's like in numbers, there's safety in numbers, so they're less likely to be like robbed or, brutalized by just stragglers and vagabonds if there's a big group of them. Like, you ain't gonna mess with us, G. Keep it moving, So she grabs all these people, and it's just like they kind of accumulate into this little community naturally while walking north, because people believe north is safer. And everyone that she gathers has this terrible story, and of course terrible things happen. So but they're all really well fleshed out characters, and even one of the characters I didn't like, his name was Harry, and I just didn't like him because in the community he dated his cousin. They lived in the same house, so they basically were like kind of like brother and sister in the house, but they were cousins, and he was dating her. And I was like, after that I was like, I don't care about nothing you have to say. If you were cousins, you dated your cousin. And he had all, like, he was so high and mighty. Once they left the community, and Olamina was like, yeah, I'd kill someone if I had to, if they were gonna kill me. And he was like, what? The preacher's daughter said that? And I'm like, so you just want her to get stabbed and act like it was nothing? Like, what are you talking about, Harry? Mr. I dated my cousin. Like, no one cares what you have to say. I was like, I'm sorry, but you have lost your seat at the moral table. I no longer care what you have to say about anything. If you told me the sky was blue, I would second guess, okay? I would doubt you. I don't trust you, Harry. But even Harry turned out to be like, he was always a good person, I guess. It was just me, like, being like, why are you so judgmental? But I ended up liking him later on and stuff. And I mean, she really did show out their lives. It's like they all lived lives that I could 100% believe happened. So all the characterization was just beautiful. And then not only that, but her diversity was on point. Okay, because we had like the only group that was not represented, I believe, was like Native Americans. I don't think there's not one mention of a Native American. It's like they never existed in this book. I don't know what happened to them in this imagination of 2024. Maybe they're there, but they're just like, I mean, they just weren't in this book. I don't know. I didn't see any representation of them. But there's like Latinx and then Asian, and black, white, of course. Yeah, there's a lot. And then there was mixtures too, like Blasian people as well. So there was a lot of diversity here. It was nice. People from other countries, like Irish, you know, and then Bancoley, the person Olamina ends up kind of being with for the rest of her life. He even was like, I think he was from Africa. But yeah, so the diversity was awesome. The story itself was really good. But just because it was like, it felt like an epic almost. It was a really nice story. And so those were like, that kind of wraps up all the pros I had. A lot of pros. Love this. I love the series, honestly. Like, I'm just like, pick this up, please. Read them. Read them both. They are wonderful. I beg of you. But anyway, moving on to my cons, which really are not, they're not a lot, and they have nothing that really deters me, because I rated this 5 stars and I rated this 4. Okay, I rated this 4 stars because of one character and one thing that happened that I was just like, nah, that ain't right. So anyway, moving on to my cons. Con number 1, okay, would have to be when in the first book, Olamina's leaving the community, right, and she comes across this man on the highway, Bancoley, another black man, right, but he doesn't look old, but he's actually like 42, I believe, and she's 18 at the time. So I was like, that's a lot, Butler. Octavia, girl, that's a substantial age difference, boo. Okay. And they get together, and I was like, okay. So I wasn't really a fan of that. Okay, I just didn't really like the age difference. I was like, I understand how she had a boyfriend in the town, first of all, before it got burned down, but then they get separated, and I think he dies. I'm not sure. But she never sees him again, point being. So yeah, and then I was like, I understand like how unlikely it is that she would have met a dude that was respectable and worthy of her and her same age, like near her different age, you know, when she was 18. But still, I was just like, he was older than her father. It don't feel good, Octavia. It don't feel good. So that was one of my cons, and then the next one was like the existence of romance at all, really, because I love romance. Romance is great. I don't believe every book needs it. Okay, I don't think the romance needs to be in every book, even though it kind of finds itself there. And there's some books where I desperately wish there was a romance, but you know there isn't. But this is one where I was like, you know what, I could have done without. Honestly, could have done without. That's how great the story was on its own. It didn't need much else. So yeah, I was kind of like, why. And also, it's just like, I know that if Olamina didn't have a suitor, I feel like her path of life would have been radically different than what it was. Now, it's still amazing. Her main goal is kind of to spread Earthseed, and she still would have done that, but I feel like she would have done a lot more if she didn't have a child and wasn't looking for that child. Because events of the book ended up having that baby like taken away from her. And so then my third pro actually would be Mark, which is Olamina's brother, who comes back in her life later on. And this man, I just hated him. I despise him. I want to mollywop this man so much, so hard. I really do despise this dude. I want to just, he was annoying. He was so annoying because he comes back, and the main reason I hate him is because of something happened in the book. That is a spoiler. Like, Olamina has a baby named Larkin, right? And then she later on meets Mark, who is, her uncle. But he doesn't, even though he knows where her mom is, he never gets her to her. Like, he keeps them apart, essentially. And eventually, and whether he meant to or not, Larkin kind of ends up choosing him over Olamina. And I was just like, that's whack. That is whack. I'm like, that is some That is booty. Like, that is not right. That is not right. I'm like, that is messed up. But anyway, so I just hated Mark. And then Larkin also got on my nerves for the same reason. I'm like, Larkin, you really chose Mark over Olamina. Really. And Larkin was like mad that her mom was like, so devoted to Earthseed and spreading her message of Earthseed, which for me personally I don't get, because I'm like, I understand it, like a child wants their mom's attention. And she wasn't even raised by Olamina. She was raised by these completely different people. Because there's like a religious cult also, a religious cult in this future, which is also very plausible to me. But yes, so she was raised by these weirdos, like a terrible mom, and then like a dude, her father, who's kind of a thinly veiled pedophile. So she's raised by them, but she just didn't like her mom's insistence upon Earthseed. But for me, if I was in an apocalyptic world and everything's gone to horse manure, and my mom was trying to make it better, I would have been like, respect, G, you do it, ma. Get it, ma. I would have been like, yeah, get it, get the future, try to do something, that's what's up, So I was like, I just don't mess with Larkin. I'm like, Olamina is my girl, she's my auntie, but I do not claim Larkin as my niece. She ain't though. Well, she wouldn't be my niece, she'd be my cousin, but she ain't my cousin. We ain't close. I didn't like Larkin. I didn't mess with her like that. It was But anyway, yeah, so these are this is just, I think so far this is definitely my favorite book of 2021. So nothing has displaced it yet. I haven't read anything that even comes close to how much I love this book and this series in general. This is a worthy sequel too, very worthy. So really, if you ask me what book I should read, I'd recommend these. I recommend these. I really do. Let's get to the illustration. One I'm very proud of. Had to be up here. Had to be top notch because I love this book so much. I was like, I'm gonna honor this book. Okay, we don't do nothing halfway over here. Okay, so this was first my concept sketch that I did in one night. Just Copic markers, no rulers or anything. Me just dividing the page with my eyes. I was like, all right, cool. So this is a little concept sketch what I wanted it to be. Since you have Parable of the Talents, you get to see Olamina as an old woman, and then in the beginning, Parable of the Sower, when introduced to her, she's young, she's a teenager, she's 15. So that's what I wanted to do. And also, I'm pretty sure Olamina, when you look it up, means laurel, and I thought of laurel wreath, or the laurel crown, not the laurel wreath, but yeah, laurel crown, whatever. And she is a queen, so I was like, we gonna get this good. Let's get this going and popping. And so here is the painting that I finished. And also I didn't explain the fire in the background, but you heard about the pyro people, and this world is just on fire anyway. This world is burning to death, okay? And something I didn't do in the concept sketch that I did here was I made her eyes green, and that's for her vision with Earthseed. She's so focused on that. In her youth, I made it her eye is a little darker green. It's a little more realistic. And then in the future, it's brighter, it's more vibrant, and she's more focused on the goal. So that's why her eyes are green as compared to the concept sketch. And I like the concept sketch a lot. It kind of reminds me of like another artist style that is very familiar with Black culture. I cannot remember who that is or what it, but it kind of reminds me of that time and that style. It didn't so much, I wasn't trying to emulate it in the painting so much. This is just, like I said, just the concept. So yeah, you got young Olamina here, old one there. And then I put her name at the bottom because it felt like something was missing. I got to buy some gold acrylic paint that was shiny, so it's like shimmering and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's because she's a queen. She's a queen, period. Okay? She was a queen then, she's a queen now. Amazing, always. You know, so yeah. I'm like, I'm really proud of this, and I love this so much. And it's worthy of the book I read. I'm like, the series was beautiful, it was perfect, it was art. So that's my art. My art also has to be beautiful. Is it perfect? No, because that does not exist. But it is good. It is good, and I'm proud of it. I'm also going to post it on Instagram along with the book once I get, because I turned the book in. I'm going to have to check it back out and take some pictures, which is ridiculous to me. The thought of checking out a book just to take pictures, but I will, and then I'll return it immediately. Anyway. Also, I want to get better at posting on Instagram. I literally have one post, and then that's it. Like, I be forgetting. I really do. It'd be difficult. But anyway, here is one last look at that. I really do love these. I love them so much. Olamina, my baby. Okay, so that is it for my Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents Earthseed series by Octavia E. Butler review. That's all I got for you today. I hope you liked it. Hope you stuck around. Come back next Reading Wednesday. I'll have another book for you and another illustration. You know how it be. You know how it go. Go read a book. Have some thoughts. Logan reads. I was about to say has left the building. That sounds so lame. I'm so sorry. Have a nice day. Thank you for watching.